So joining us today is Brent Blum, a visionary in AI and spatial computing who has spent over 2 decades pushing the boundaries of augmented and virtual reality, AI-driven training, and enterprise innovation. As the architect of Accenture's AR and VR practice, Brent has led groundbreaking projects that transform industries from wildfire prevention to workforce development. Today, we'll explore his career journey, lessons learned, and the future of immersive technology in business. Welcome, Brent.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. This is fun.
Absolutely. So we'll get right into the questions. What moment in your career has taught you the most?
Oh, I've been so lucky to have a diverse and varied career with Accenture and Accenture Labs. So there's like 1,000 small moments, but I have 2 fun stories I can share. So one was that I was building a smartwatch for the elder for Verizon Wireless. And this was a big moment because no one had ever thought before to put a cellular chip in one of those, like, I've fallen and I can't get up type devices. That existed before. But now if you add cellular capabilities, you can help individuals in the grocery store parking lot. And so we patented this thing. We spent months identifying who our target audience was and refining the features. And we finally got it in their hands. And I was pretty sure that roughly about an 84-year-old woman was my ideal buyer. And so we rounded up a bunch of 84-year-old women and gave them the prototype and talked about the device, and they loved it. And then towards the end they said, well, this would be great for my 100-year-old mother. And I thought, wait a minute. So I learned, at least with that device, that that kind of product was always something you buy for someone else. There's a compelling moment and you give it to someone else, but I don't need it. And so really it was about getting user feedback as soon as possible and really narrowing in on a target market. The other funny moment, or fun, depending on how you look at it, was we had built a smart glasses solution for assembly line workers in Mexico, and they were building wire harnesses. So you think of an airplane or a car, or the thing that connects the lever for the turn signal to the actual turn signal on your car is a wire harness, a bundle of wires. Thought, this is great. These guys are going to love these augmented reality glasses. They'll teach them exactly how to make the bundles of wires. And this particular company has factories all over the world. So we're going big, right? This is going to be it. And we got down into the factory in Mexico, and the glasses were helpful for a while, but then they stopped wearing them. And it was just because that repetitive task was so easy that they memorized it after a while. They didn't need the glasses to tell them what to do. And on top of that, when they did make a mistake, it wasn't that costly to fix it because the cost of labor wasn't that high. And so from that, I learned, okay, it takes real world validation and testing to get these things right. We later went to an aircraft manufacturer in the US, and that's where it was like, okay, here we go. We've got high stakes, high cost of labor, and they were changing their wire harnesses a bit more often. So there was also more variability. Moral of that story is just innovation's hard, and anyone can dream up a PowerPoint slide that says, future of augmented reality glasses applies to these industries and these use cases. But until you really get out there and do it and try it, you don't quite know.
Very true. So we have lots of great ideas, but hardly any of them are really valuable. So
there you go.
I don't know about hardly.
Well, no, they are. But anyway, this is about you. So if you were to poll your colleagues, what would be 3 words that they would consistently say about you?
One-word answers are hard. I'd like to think my colleagues really enjoy working with me, but when it comes to I would say innovative, driven, and organized. Especially anyone that's been on my team knows I'm a stickler for having all of our ducks in a row and documents in a repository. But yeah, that probably describes Brent.
Those are good. Those are very good. Outside of your professional achievements, what passion project or personal interest has taught you skills that make you better at what you do?
I've had a lot of little passion projects over the years. I used to repair laptops, and that I think gave me some technical insight. I have a hobby now renovating and running Airbnbs, and that's made me a better program manager, better operator. But I only pick one answer. 15 years ago, Tim Ferriss and his books convinced me to hire virtual assistants or VAs. And that has completely improved and changed my life, I would say, over that time span. I first used them for a little side business I had selling sports and concert tickets. But more than anything, I think I've used them in my personal life. I've used VAs to help plan my wedding, renovate my house, travel to over 25 countries in 1 year, but also to plan my kids' swim lessons and get a vet appointment. And a lot of folks are allergic to that idea that like they would pay someone to do these things like restaurant reservations that are so simple. But there is no better way to refine your delegation skills and figure out what is the highest and best use of your time than to have to pay someone else to do some of these small things. And so through that, for me, it's quite clear, like, yes, the highest and best use of my time is leading innovation projects, building products, and focusing on my next opportunity. So I'm grateful for all that help over the years that VAs have given me. But I would say that's been the thing outside of work that has really folded into my professional career, is like refining my time management.
So can you tell us about maybe a mentor that you've had that's not virtual?
Fair. Yeah, no virtual mentors. Although that's funny, so many of my Accenture colleagues I never did meet in person. But in our R&D lab where I started my career with Accenture, I had tremendous mentors, and they really taught me to think critically and not just to think creatively, but also to like reel in my thinking and think about what could work, what could scale, where's technology headed. But it probably wasn't until I left Accenture's R&D lab and moved into the main body of the business that I had some really influential mentors, Jason Welsh, Dan Gunther, and I brought each of them this fledgling augmented virtual reality business that I had built, and they really showed me how to do it right and do it at scale and do it within a 700,000 person company, how to network, how to take the seed of what I'd built and give it to the rest of the company to help me grow and sell. And so I learned a tremendous amount from each of them.
Those are very valuable lessons. So good to have those people on your side.
Yeah.
What book or podcast has influenced you?
I'm going to go all the way back to college on the book. I went to Wake Forest, and our senior capstone course in the IT track was to read The Age of Spiritual Machines by Ray Kurzweil. And at the time, he had more or less predicted the rise of the internet, so I was blown away by that. But the book goes on to predict artificial intelligence, AI making music, AI making art, brain-computer interfaces, like just wild stuff. And I think that really set my young brain on fire, certainly at that time and now for 25 more years. So I always think back to that as really pivotal. And Kurzweil's written a number of other great books and started the Singularity Institute. So he's fantastic. Podcast. I'm really, really, really enjoying Hard Fork. It's a New York Times podcast with Casey Newton and Kevin Roos. And they just make tech so interesting and fun and relatable. And I look forward to it dropping every Friday. And I don't want to say I struggle to otherwise keep up with tech news, but certainly this is how I make it a priority, is by listening to Hard Fork. It's just so enjoyable, funny, fun, interesting.
Those are great.
So if you could spend a day learning from anyone, living or not, who would that be? It changes for me on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, I guess if it's permissible, I think I have a sentimental answer.
Everything is permissible.
That's good. My dad is only in his 70s today, but I would have loved to have known him as a new father. And I think that would be really interesting and touching and insightful. And just, I'd want to know what he was feeling and thinking and what that experience was like for him.
Okay, you win the award for best answer, hands down, out of anyone.
I thoroughly agree. And what's funny is I keep hearing people talking today about being authentic. And everybody's so worried about saying the wrong thing. But what really resonates the most is when people are authentic. And I saw you struggle with that, like, well, this is sentimental, but it really was an exceptionally genuine answer and heartfelt. And I guarantee you, people that see this are going to think, I like this guy. This is something that I find relatable.
Yeah.
It
also just
reinforces it.
Appreciating the honesty of the answer too. So,
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Absolutely. So,
Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. This is going in our highlight reel. No.
Yeah, look forward.
So now we're going to wrap it up. What do you see as the future of your industry?
Oh, it's easy to say that XR and the metaverse are having their like trough of disillusionment moment, but there's been several before this. So I am confident that XR is still the next major computing platform, and it's just a matter of time as to when that comes true. If I can nerd out for a minute, like AI and remote rendering are helping to make incredible strides in battery life and resolution and compute power. You look at what Apple did with the Apple Vision Pro, and that is an engineering masterpiece. And so we're headed in the right direction. And I'm not the guy that's going to tell you our future is like sitting in a dark room with a VR headset on and the shades are drawn and no one's socializing. I think, especially with like the announcement of Meta's Orion and similar devices, we're going to see two form factors emerge. You will have like a lightweight, all-day wear kind of smart glasses, thinking also of like the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. And there's a real opportunity to understand, using AI, to understand the world around you, to enrich the physical world, just to add context in a very lightweight and natural manner. Folks are already used to talking to an AI in their phones. It's becoming very standard. So like, it almost feels kludgy to think like, oh, I have to pull it out of my pocket, unlock it, tap around. Okay, now I can ask my question, right? As opposed to like, well, the AI was already ready to go and it's been looking around the room. And by the way, it helped me find my keys. It remembered I left them on the couch. And so I think we'll see great strides in that class of device. Other being more of like a VR headset that is, if I can use the word episodic, right? Like, I'm going in headset for a reason. I want to train, I want to learn, I want to collaborate. I come from a little bit more of an enterprise background, so I think a bit more in terms of like use cases for workers and employees. But at the same time, sure, VR gaming, there's so many applications. So in the near term future, it'll be those two classes of devices. And then form factors will continue to shrink, utility will continue to grow, and this shift to head-worn devices will continue to evolve. But I don't know. I think we're probably like 10 years away from the lens, but that's a wild future. That's what I'm ready to embrace one day.
At least it's something that you just pop on instead of where I think it's going. It's also plugging in neural pathways and things along those lines. I think that is where you start to lose some people. But I think you've hit it on the head. The functionality of it and the appropriate timing for different types of devices. You were saying episodic. I think that's a perfect way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very interesting. It's a fascinating time to be alive.
Yeah.
So if there's anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap, here's your chance.
Boy, on the XR front, I would just encourage people to keep an open mind. I mean, so much attention is on AI right now, but like XR is the presentation layer of AI. And really our future is about these technologies converging, especially when you throw in the eventual evolution of quantum. Like, we're headed to a very cool and interesting place. So don't let any biases of old memories of Google Glass fool you. Like, this will become the future. So stay patient and stay tuned.
Love it. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll have all the ways people can reach out to you in the show notes. And then hopefully this is helpful for you. And thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tara.
Thanks for being here.
You bet.
MTMG, guidance that empowers.